everybody. I hope I'm there. Hey, my name's Azif now with us on the weekday kind, and we have a fantastic guest for you this week. And as always, we are here every week at the same time, same place. If you're tuning in right now, I would love to know where you're from and where you're tuning in from because we are so excited to get people from all over the world. Typically, getting views in and your questions and comments, and we always love that. So wherever you're tuning in from, I'm just going to check very quickly on my app on my phone to see if we are indeed live. And if we are, I would love to hear from you in the comment section as always. So I will bring on my co-hosts for tonight. We have Nurul Fatia. Apa khabar, Nurul?
Bye, Alhamdulillah. It's been a while, but I'm so
Yeah,
glad I'm
nice to
here
see
tonight.
you. Nice to have you back on the show. I hope everything's been
Alhamdulillah.
okay with you.
Amazing.
Excellent. And the one and only Rahim Osman.
Hi,
Hey,
Eddie.
Rahim.
Good evening. Yeah, nice to meet you guys again after so
Yep,
many
yep, yep.
weeks action.
Yeah, it's all of us have amazingly busy lives. So it's cool. Some are in, some are out. It's not a problem. I try and be as far as I can consistent with this once a week show. I hope our audience appreciates that. We have some people on the chat already. So it's always a pleasure to have people on board. And we have Saifuddin Abdul Halim. Hey, Saifuddin, how are you? Tell everyone where you're from. If you're tuning in right now, please do drop a note and tell us where you're tuning in from. We always get people from all over, right? It just blows my mind that we just have a show from here in Malaysia and then we get people from everywhere. Where was the one memorable one you've had, Nurul, that people tuning into our show?
I think the one that I love the most is the franchise series because it really
Yes.
that session really opened up I guess open up my eyes and open up opportunity for a lot of people who tune in about franchising in Malaysia, and it really blows my mind for
That
that
was your
one.
contact, right, Rahim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So, without further ado, hey Fariha, hello everyone. Huzaimi, Nuraimi, sorry. Hello. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're tuning in here to get to know our special guest better. And here she is, Freda Liu. How are you, Frida?
Hello. I am fantastic. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So happy to have you on the show. How are you? How have you been?
I have been good. I have been very productive. I don't like to use the word busy, so I've been very productive and things are good. So thank God.
Excellent, excellent. So, meet my co-host Rahim Osman and Nurul Finite with you.
Hi, Rahim. Hi,
Good to
Fatia.
see you. Yes.
And
Finally to see you
we
live.
do have people
Present.
from all over, guys. Tell us where
Next
you're
time
from.
we can meet in the flesh.
Yes. That would be good. Yeah. Looking forward to.
Yep, yep. And to everyone, I'm not at home as I usually am, but I had to find a place to get connected today. Of all days, Frida, I had a presentation to the CEO and deputy
Oh,
CEO and all of these important people. I had no Wi-Fi at home, so I was frantically searching for a co-working space, and I found one in Cyberjaya. Reka Escape. Yeah,
wow.
my wife is telling me where we are. So, for any of you who need a co-working space near or around Cyberjaya, I highly recommend Reka Space. Fantastic space, excellent service, and all of that. So, Frida,
Yes.
what are you busy with right now? What's keeping you busy?
Okay, so apart from the day job in the radio station, I also do emceeing work and all that. So there's been a lot of events happening online. I just came back from one actually with a tax consulting firm, and this is Baker Tilly. I give them a bit of plug. So I've been busy doing that, and so a lot of webinars. I think a lot of companies are also preparing for next year, so doing that kind of thing, moderating events, which I enjoy very much. And I find that because I do that, I learn from different industries and apply to the work to the day job, and then the day job also apply to the outside work, the side hustle. So it works out really well. If you want to talk about the things I'm up to, like the whole year has been like just building where I want to go from here, and I'm sure we'll discuss about that. And sometimes it's a bit blur. So where do I want to go from here? And I know one thing that I'm very sure is that, I want to impact lives, right? But impact lives is that big thing, and how that happens is up for discussion, right? Up for ways, right?
Who
But
knows,
that's
right? Who knows?
yeah, right? So some things you leave to, takdir, and some things you got to work at some things, and then, if it's meant to be, it'll work out, right? I think that's the attitude to have in life. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So, yeah, we have people walking around here. So,
It's a live
Nurul
show.
or Rahim? Yeah, it's a live show. This is what happens. So, Rahim or Nurul, if you have your first questions.
I can go. I'm a big fan, of course. I listen a lot to the radio last time when I'm driving.
Right.
Now I'm not driving anymore. I feel like so far away from that, but still, the joy of listening to the radio. I feel like my journey has someone keeping me occupied. Well, the question that I want to ask you is, you're always full of energy. We can feel your energy when you're on air. I really love that. So I want to ask you, how do you manage that? How do you keep yourself always positive, always energetic?
Right.
That's my question
Okay.
to you.
Yes, I have to. I think first of all, I think we all come from that thing where we have our faith, right? We have our faith, and I think that's really important. When you have your faith, we always talk about having a full cup, right? If your cup is not full, it's very difficult to give. I think that's the most important thing, regardless. And we all come from different faiths, and I think that's important. First of all, get it right spiritually. Second thing is actually exercise. This is something I do daily, right? And it's a little bit of vanity, but also the science behind exercise. It gives you good chemicals, healthy, natural chemicals. I find that's really important. I try to do that first thing in the morning, and I just want to make that a part of my life, right? And of course, the other thing I do is I read a lot, right? And I purposely choose books that gets me on a different kind of thinking. If I can't meet the people, that I get that kind of thinking. And obviously through all that, and the people that I interview also excites me, right? And I don't know whether it's they're exciting me or I'm exciting them or whatever, but that also I feed off the energy of other people when I interview. I'm always very curious about life when so sometimes you may be interviewing the same kind of industry, right? And I talk to the different business owners, but the different business owners come with different experiences, right? And then you learn something from everyone you meet. And I think that's really important, that you continue to be curious and learn where a person's coming from, right? And it's not just because I'm on air. I feel that even as I'm talking to you right now, even on my interviews, I really genuinely want to know the person, right? And that's important, I think, in life, or to always be curious, right? And leave judgment somewhere else. Yeah.
Right. Extended question. Is there any
Mm.
particular food or any particular drink that you take, that keep that it, because it's nourish you, right? So is there any
Right.
particular thing
Okay. Oh,
that
very
you
interesting. Very interesting question. Okay. Have your water. I don't have enough water, actually. I know I don't drink enough water. Food. I take my supplements, right? I take my supplements. I especially now, I never leave home without my vitamin C, right? You just need to build your immunity system. And we can take our vaccine, we can do all that, but really you have to build your immunity system more so right now than anything. So I always take my supplements. I try to drink as much water as I can, but first thing in the morning also I like my cup of coffee lah. So that the caffeine also helps wake you up. So not so much that, but I think it doesn't. It's not one thing. It's a series of things, right? So I try to watch my food, but yeah, I try to watch my food.
Okay. Over to you, Rahim.
I love the curiosity part before you go, Rahim, because
Yeah.
that really, keeps you alive and keeps you
Yes.
always
Yes.
on the ball, right? Curious.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, Rahim.
Yes. Yeah. Before we go into a more serious subject, right? You mentioned about you love to read books. So can you share which are the books that your favorite top 3 or top 5?
Okay, very good. If I could show you my house and the books that I have, but actually, accidentally or not accidentally, I have it right next to me. I'm sure you've heard of this book, right? I don't know if you read. Okay, I love this book, Mindset. If you at least just get excerpts from it, right? But the thing is that every time I feel that I have an attitude attack, where is my mindset at, right? And this is really important. Do I have a growth mindset or do I have a fixed mindset? Because the moment you have a fixed mindset, that is the death of you, right? So that to me is really important, to have that mindset. The other book that I have, there are many books, The Magic of Thinking Big, Rich Dad Poor Dad, all these books I've read, right? And Cash Flow Quadrant, How to Look at Money. This is a book I read a couple of years ago, and this is something for actually for women, but even men, right? It's called Playing Big, right? And playing big is, as women especially, have a problem about, playing big. And so this book is written by an American, and you read the book and you think, wow, the issues that you have in America are so similar to the issues that we have with in Asia. So it's not even an Asian thing or whatever, but there are a couple of things in there. And I wanted to maybe just share, as I'm telling you about the book, about one of the things that women have, which is the good girl syndrome. Okay, and the good girl syndrome is that, in especially in the workplace, when we're in school, girls do well in school, the teacher go and say, well done, A plus, Fatia, and then you get recognized for your efforts. Now when you join the workplace situation, if you don't speak up for the work that you've done, no one else will, right? You're hoping that your boss slash teacher will notice your work and say A plus, but really, it's a different situation. If you don't speak up for the things that you do, that is something else. Of course, like the Simon Sinek's of the world as well, right? I love the book about finding your why and all that. So these are some of the books that I've read, and I always try to read a new book every year, right? There's one book which I have bought, and I love books about women entrepreneurs. There's one book that I bought. I haven't read it. I think it'd be a December reading, and that's Forgiving What You Can't Forget. That's something that I have to go through.
Well, I guess we mentioned about being transparent in front of
Right,
people, especially
right.
during the discussion. I think that's very important. Probably this is something that you need to be menyerlah in
Mm,
front of everybody. And touching on that, of course, you need to be active from the start rather than wait until the end. So
yes,
yeah, and I,
yes,
I also learned something new, which is this 5-second rule. I'm not sure whether you read the book.
yes, yes.
You know,
I got
Mel.
the journal.
Yes, yes. I have the soft copy. Yeah. Which
What
I'm
else?
very,
I've got the book.
I have the soft copy. I finished it and
Yeah,
I found it very interesting and definitely can apply that. So
right.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Aziz.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, it's interesting you
Ah,
mentioned about soft copy, Rahim, because I've been buying books online and reading it on my phone, and I really
mm,
miss holding a good book in my hand and just curling up with it. I guess things are opening
mm,
up now.
mm,
At least we can go
mm.
out and buy a physical book, but it's been so long, honestly. It's just been
Right,
cooped up
right.
at home for this while. So how has that
I haven't.
impacted you though? I mean, you're hosting again. Is that how long has it been quiet, and when did it open back up?
Okay. Okay, so for me, so because I work in the station, every other week I'm at the physical studio, although all interviews are done online. So at least I've been out lah, so I haven't been stuck at home in that sense. So I look forward to actually going to office. It's very quiet, right? Because there are no guests, and then the teams are half and everything. So you also don't like, sometimes you're not in the mood, right? For me, fortunately, I have been getting work, and work has been online lah. So now you're getting a combo of hybrid where I do go to an environment, I do go out. I had one event recently where I was at pavilion outside. Otherwise, people are doing hybrid kind of thing. So in that sense, there is still work, but not so much physical events. I'm just slowly going out, right? I mean, we've all been vaccinated. I can take all precautions, and I just want to continue living life and of course, like I say, be careful, obviously be careful, but I'm ready to just go out there slowly but surely and just be out there. But I'm okay. I mean, I'm fine with doing some things hybrid as well, and that's the way of the future, right? That's the reality of how it's going to be. But in terms of, I guess, the mindset during last year and all that was a lot of learning lah. At first there was a lot of learning. I took up some courses. I did all sorts of things, and it was good in a way, because I know that if it was a normal situation, I probably wouldn't go on that path, right? I think we all went through that, right? Would have been so busy doing this, doing that. We finally had a bit of time to actually stop and think lah. So it's been good in that way, right? In
Yeah.
that sense, yeah.
And I always find blessings in everything that happens, and there's a lot of blessings actually of us taking a little bit of a breather and
Yeah,
reassessing and all that. So that's wonderful. Perhaps for our audience who's been watching you and listening to you, and dari pembaca berita and now radio, but how did you get here? I mean, what was the path?
Oh.
Tell us the
Okay.
story.
Okay. I'll try to keep it short. I was just talking to someone the other day. I went into this by accident. Seriously, it is not a dream of mine, not a goal of mine to get into broadcast. But sometimes, like how fate was have it, it's so funny. But I got my first break in 1992. Okay, anybody not born during that period? So 1992, I came back from Australia. I actually stumbled into doing a live TV show, right? That was held in Kuching. I'm from Kuching. And it was a collaboration with what is now known as Media Corp, but was then Singapore Broadcasting Corporation and RTM. And they have a show every 2 years in either Singapore or part of RTM, wherever it may be. And that year it happened to be in Kuching. And I had just finished my studies, and my father was very ill, and I actually, because my father was ill, I went back. If not, I would not have come back. But that's how things happen, right? And I stumbled. Cut long story, I stumbled into it, and so the heads of then Media Corp and the head of RTM met me, and they liked what I did. So I got a job as a part-time TV and radio newsreader. And I said to this guy, the late Encik Saleh Ahir, and I said, I don't want to do this full-time. I said, I want a full-time job. I want to go into PR. I will only do this part-time. So he waited for about 10, 11 months before I arrived in KL. I said, okay, I don't mind doing this part-time. So I've always done it part-time. My full-time job in PR. Then I work for IBM, and that's why KC from SAP is my ex-colleague. He's my ex-colleague. So I was at IBM, and so I'm very fortunate. I've always worked with companies that allowed me to do part-time, right? When BFM started 13 years ago, I got a call from this colleague of mine who has since left, Noel Lim. And she said, would you be interested in doing this, right? And the reason I was very intrigued was because it's not just a station that plays music. There was talk, there was, I'm still using my brains, right? I'm still having conversation. It's business. And that was how I got into it. And people now know me more from the radio than the fact that I used to read the news on RTM, right? But so that whole experience, by next year, I would have been doing broadcast part-time and full-time for 30 years. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, by accident. So you can try to fight it. The people, and things will just happen sometimes along the way. And I'm so glad I had the corporate experience, right? Had it not been for the corporate experience, I don't think I would have been able to do the work that I do at BFM, right? So it's sort of like, who knew, right, that both these paths would meet.
Yeah, I think Azif drop off, so we're gonna
Okay.
take over. We're gonna take over.
Yeah, freedom. Okay, we can say whatever we want.
We are free then, without headmaster.
We let loose. Okay, so that is a very inspiring story. It's amazing, and I love BFM because of what you just said. It's not just station that plays music, and you don't just talk about whatever, you talk about something that is substance, makes me think, makes us like so I love that. Okay, my question to you, you've been interviewing a lot of female entrepreneurs. Okay, and for the past 2 years I've been on my own, which means I kena cari duit sendiri, kais pagi makan minggu depan kind of situation. So this is my question to you. I just want to know, for those ladies who are very successful in their business, is there a common fear among them, and is there a common trait that makes them successful in whatever they are doing?
Okay, I should go and tell you. I should tell you about the other book I wrote. Right, there's one
Right.
book right. I call it's in there in the cupboard now. Busting fixed mindsets. Right, and so I
Okay.
interviewed 15 Malaysian-based businesses. They're all not Malaysians, but these were women. And I didn't want to go into like, oh, tak cukup funding. Like, I didn't want to go into that. I want to know mindset. Right, I want to know mindset. And so I want to know what was it that made them and women who earn at least R1 million in revenues. Right, if you want to know some start figures, I want to tell you some start figures. So in 2016 survey, only 20% of businesses are owned by women, right? In Malaysia, globally, only 30% women-owned businesses. So already the gender equality is already something wrong, right? And then when I spoke to the women, the National Association of Women Entrepreneurs Malaysia, based on the time when we used to pay GST, from their membership, only 10% have revenues in excess of 500,000 and above. So just goes to show how little. I just want to give you a bit of backstory about that. Other common traits, I'll talk about some of the things I did. Okay, so one of which is this lady called Sharla Akset. She started the Center of Applied Data Science, CATS, right? CATS, the CATS. And she said, I want to be a game changer, right? So a lot of people go into business, so not just women, a lot of people go into business, okay, I want to be part of the game, da da da. And then she was really doing quite well. And she says, no, I want to be a game changer. So when we decide to do something, do we want to be a game changer in the space that we're in? Right. And when you decide to be a game, and then the moment she became decided that I'm going to be a game changer and changed the business model, her business went up sixfold, from 1 million to 6 million at that time. Obviously, it's gone a little bit more. The other person that also, so there were 15 lessons that I got from them, right? Share two or three. The other one, if not buy the book, right? The other one is find a mentor, right? And when she says find a mentor, this is Ann Tam, who owns Ace Adventures. She owns the Sri Amas International School and Dwi Amas International School. So and she's a teacher by background. And she said the book that got her thinking differently was a book by John Maxwell. And she says that although you may not have a physical mentor, right? You can find the right book, and she's my mentor. Unbeknownst to her, she's my mentor. So there's information and people that we can learn from that not you may not necessarily have that contact. I want to think like Sir Richard Branson. I want to think like I just bought the book by Joe Malone, the Joe Malone fragrance. Like how did they think, right? So then these people can then become your mentors, right? The other person I interviewed was Christy Ng from Christy Ng's Shoes, and she talked about gender equality, right? And her gender equality perspective is so interesting. She said that traditionally, because she was in shoes, right, so automatically women would apply. Then I think there were a couple of roles that a few guys joined in. Said the moment guys joined the business, said, you know what was so different about men? They're bigger risk takers. They can also carry tables, but said they were bigger risk takers and things that women were discussing. The men would just say, let's do it, right? And I think the lesson was that's why gender equality is important. Too many women also not good. Too many men also not good, right? And when you have gender equality, you actually bring more diversity and more strength to an organization. So these are just three things. Like I just learned, I interviewed 15 of them, but these are just three things that struck out for me.
Wow, thank you. I'm gonna buy that book and I'm gonna find you and get your signature. Okay.
Can available. I just do a
Okay.
searchlight thing.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi everybody. Hi Vihan. Vihan is competition lah. What's she
Thanks
doing here?
Wow.
All right.
Thanks so much for holding the fort. I'm still having some troubles with my network, but
We had
it's
a whale of time while you were gone, man.
I know. Why am I here?
Now the principal is back.
Dude.
Yeah. No, I was going to ask you about being an author as well. I
Right.
last counted 6. Is it 6 books or 5 books or how many books now?
Six books.
Well,
6 books. Yeah.
Congratulations, amazing.
So the last
So
the last book was written during the pandemic. But yeah, sorry, your question.
wow, not bad lah. So how did that start out? I'm always interested in how things start, what the genesis is. So and again, writing a book is a goal for many people.
Right.
My father was an author, so it's something that I've always had in the back burner but never done. So how did you
Okay.
start, and what pushed you to do that?
Okay, the first book was called PR Yourself, right? So I was with this friend of mine, and he was saying, like, you know what? Okay, the genesis of that book was coming from PR and then having interviewed people. And then I was like, hey, you know, we have great Malaysian companies, but they don't come out enough, right? One of which is a lot of us. I think things have definitely improved. We're talking about maybe 7, 8 years ago. A lot of companies, they tell the story one time and then there's no continuity to the story. So I don't know what's happened. Then I meet them, you know, informally 2, 3 years, and then they tell me this has happened. I said, why don't you continue with that story and tell me what's been going on, right? So people lose sight that a lot of Asian companies also don't want to come out because segan, right? Or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Or, you know, so it's like, hello, you know, we have great stories. Why are we not sharing the story? So the when I wrote PR Yourself, it's like, and then you've got the formula, or like you just got to go out there and talk about yourself. You know, when you think of Quickstarter, right? Kickstarter, right? What is Kickstarter? Kickstarter is a great PR tool asking for your money for a product that's not developed, right? Right? And we give our money to them. Isn't that PR? Right? That is the power of PR. So I'm just putting it very simplistically. So that was the first book. And so it says, why don't you know? So I just brought in again both my life experience in working in PR, and then, you know, meeting all these entrepreneurs. Why are you out there not telling our story? Especially, you know, we have great Malaysian stories. So I'm really happy to see that, like, in the last 10 years or so, more Malaysian companies are coming out sharing their story, because our story needs to be told around the world, right? It's an Asian thing to be low profile and segan. Yeah, enough, right? Okay, and this is okay. I want to AJ. I want to say this was a thing that I shared on LinkedIn, and Simon Sinek said this, right? Confidence is knowing you're good. Arrogance is thinking you're better than others, right? So be confident. Don't be arrogant, right? I mean, the moment is when you think you're better than others. That's a problem. But if you're good, you're good, right? So remember that, you know, we should be confident of who we are and what we do and what we can offer, right? Yeah. I think Gary's thinking, okay. Okay, but I'll tell you about my last book, lah. So last book also got here. So this was a book I last wrote, okay. So I wrote during the height of the pandemic when it first started. I said, okay, no Netflix, 1,000 words a day before I allow myself to watch Netflix, right? So over 40 days, I wrote 40,000 words. So that was how the last book was written. So like that lah. That's how the shit.
I just start again. You know,
Never mind. We have a good time again. Hi, Khairuddin from Miri. Okay, I hope, are you Sarakan? I don't know, but doesn't matter. I'm from Sarawak. Okay. Welcome,
okay.
AJ.
I have one interesting question. You have done a lot of interviews, live and also BFM, that kind of stuff. Which one is the most memorable?
That's why people always like to ask me the questions. Like asking me
Yes.
which is my favorite child. Mana boleh. No, okay. I'll say my attitude towards every interview is like I will learn from everyone I meet, right? So everybody has, of course, you got the big names lah. I've interviewed Simon Sinek, Stephen Covey sebelum dia meninggal. Who else did I speak to? And then lepas tu meninggal. I don't know if it's after
Jack
speaking to
Welch.
me.
Jack
Okay,
Welch.
Jack Welch as well. Lepas tu
Yeah,
meninggal.
it passed away last year, right?
2 years ago, 3 years ago. But anyway, what was most memorable for me was speaking to Nick Vijucic, right? And Nick Vijucic was just after the interview, he was very sweet. He was, he prayed for me. He was just, just very a warm person. And then when you look at him, right, you feel this energy, right? You feel this, you've heard the story a million times, but dia punya energy. And then you look at him and you hear a story and you think, this guy, I think there's something about physically seeing him and face to face, no arms, no legs, can do so much. What are we complaining about, right? I think that is just and of course the warmth that comes from this young man. Yeah, still younger than me, so young man. Anna from Puchong, hi.
Yeah, I guess sometimes you can actually capture and learn a lot of things when you meet
Yes.
people, when you met
Yes.
people, when you
Yes.
discuss with them. Sometimes you can actually get plenty of ideas. So I
Yes.
think that Nick is one of them. Definitely, is very
Yeah.
encouraging
Yeah.
being in that situation, and of course he has a very good support from the other half. Yeah? Very strong
Yeah.
support from that. That's also important.
Yes.
Yeah. Aziz still.
Aziz back. Aziz back.
I
But
think
he's
he's
still.
freezing.
He's
Uh,
very
But
still.
then still, yeah.
He's
So I guess
standing.
something wrong. Something wrong with the connection.
Oh dear. Okay.
You?
Yeah. So what is it I want to ask? So many things
Ah.
I want to
Ah.
ask, but then just get blocked. Okay, okay, okay. You talk about your book. Today I was telling my friend, I've always wanted to not write a book, but somehow rather today, like this morning, maybe I should write a book.
You should.
So so what is your inspiration? To eventually write a book? What makes you, because when we want to do something, right, there must be something that drives us, right? We cannot just like, you know what, I'm going to write a book. It doesn't
Okay.
work that way. So how about you?
Okay. Okay. Sabahan. Okay. Now my career. Okay. So what is my inspiration, right? Uh, something that just triggers me. Okay, so okay. So the PR yourself, that was the story. Bursting fixed mindsets. I bought a book called Million Dollar Woman, right? And it was written by an American. I bought a book. Access was written by an American. I was like, oh, like how some women don't reach those kind of figures. I was like, what are the stats in Malaysia? What are we like in Malaysia? And so they just got me curious, right? And that was then how I got to writing the other book. Life's a stage when I wrote this book was just like, what are my life lessons? What have I learned in life, right? Will it be of, because I think every roadblock has been a learning lesson. So it's like lessons from each decade of my life, right? And how I use that into another thing and everything. So it was a little bit more that. And so at the end of the day, I think when you want to write that book, right? What stops you from writing that book? It's what are you hoping to impact, right? If I write this book and one person bought that book and one person said, it made a difference to my life, then I have made a difference. Right. So you don't have to think berjuta-juta lah, beribu-ribu lah. You don't, just like I was just talking to you guys earlier before we came on air, right? Like if I would talk about my vision, it's about impacting lives, right? I don't know in what method, in what way, right? But everything I do I impact lives? For the positive, right? You can impact lives negative. For the positive, do I impact lives for the positive? And when you have that vision, is it through a book, is it through an interview, is it through this, is it through that, right? And then you decide the medium later lah, but you're very clear about what your objective is. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Hey, I'm back. So,
Yes, welcome back, Azim, to the Stay Kind Weekly Live
It's
Show.
chocolate chip.
so anyway, AJ has a cool question here, but I want to tie it back to us. This is our 20th show, Frida, and I
Yay.
read somewhere that you have had 5,000 interviews or more probably now.
Yeah.
So what one of the questions that AJ has here, how do you prepare? But more than that, I mean, even bigger, what is key about interviewing people? What's made you so successful in interviewing so many different types of personalities?
Okay, all right. Okay, have I been successful? Okay, and then of course his question is, do you prepare the interview questions yourself? I do. I personally do, because when I prepare, of course, when you're doing the research about the guy and everything, right? Then you think of an angle, right? You're thinking of an angle. What is it that you have? And of course, during the conversation, the angle could change, right? But you already have an angle about the person, that sort of thing. And so what is during an interview, this is I have developed an e-course for this, by the way. But how do you prepare an interview? You always think of having a conversation with one person. So all this, the frills and all that's all frills, right? But at the end of the day, it's like if I have it's like a one-on-one conversation with someone. Don't think about everybody else, and what can I learn from that one person? I think like I don't try to be too clever, right? Sometimes you don't want you want to reach out to a wider audience. Although I may know so much about crypto, which I don't, but let's say I know so much about crypto, right? And I get into this crypto conversation with them, buzzings or crypto, I've lost half the audience, right? So I've got to be in such a way broad enough, but yet not dumbed down, right? At the same time, because I have to think of the audience, right? Unless I do a podcast that is just about crypto, then you're attracting a different audience. So when I'm talking about the work that I do, which has a wider audience, I have to make sure that it covers the spectrum without dumbing it down, give it a bit of context. But yeah, so that's the way I would do it. And okay, so like if you listen to the station, the morning show is very hard hitting, right? It's called the Breakfast Girls, very hard hitting. They usually talk to public listed companies which have money from investors, so they're a little bit like, how are you spending your investors' money, right? So when I interview SMEs, it's not really that lah. There's probably they went on a bank loan, they came up with their own money. So I really just want to get into the entrepreneur mindset. So it really depends on your purpose of your interview. So for me, it's always about the entrepreneur mindset. Sometimes I also do personal development shows. Then I really want to get a learning point. So again, depending on the type of interview that you're doing and the purpose you're doing it, right? Yeah.
Can I summarize that it really is about that connection between you
Yes.
and the person you're interviewing? Yeah. So
Yes.
no matter what the subject is, as
Yeah.
long as you're
For me, it's important. Okay, for me, it's important to develop that connection. For me, I need that person to be not my best friend, but a friend, right? Because what is it? If I am like this, right? What happens to the clam when you throw sand? So you don't, so I don't want to throw sand at the clam because I want them to open their mouths, right? So that's the visual analogy.
nice. Nice. So I've totally lost track of the turns. So whoever's up next, go ahead.
I have one question about the one of the person that you interviewed before,
Mm.
Stephen Covey.
Ah.
When was that?
Stephen Covey, I can always say it would be, you have to do a search. I think it was about 5, 6 years ago. And I saw obviously it was over the phone because he wasn't here. And Stephen Covey was like, what are the questions? I mean, the team, lah, of course, they're going to protect, right? What are the questions? And then they were listening to the interview. So I find that because I can't see the person's face, right? Because a phone interview, right? So I couldn't feel the warmth of it, right? And that makes a difference. When you see a person's face, you can tell a bit more. But yeah, so that was about 5, 6 years ago, and based on the different books he's written and all that. And then 2 years after that, I think from a bicycle accident, not from health reasons, from a bicycle accident, he passed away. So again, be careful if you want to be interviewed by me, lah.
Yeah, this one is okay because we interviewed you,
Yes.
so we don't have to worry about the mistake.
Yeah.
So among he is actually one of the person that I inspired a long time ago because I read his book, and in fact the 7 Habits, right, practiced by so many organizations, including me. And now it seems that is in built in bed with me.
Yes. Yes.
Among all the 7, which one do you think that the most effective for you or for people to refer to?
Seek first to understand.
Yes.
That to me is important, right? Before trying, I think that's so important, right? And then, because we're so quick to judge, I think it's terrible right now, the cyberbullying that goes on. More so, can everybody can become cyber warrior, right? And of course, with our show, Stay Kind. I think first of all, wherever a person's coming from, it may, their education is different, the lifestyle comes. So you try to understand where a person's coming from, before we're so quick to embark. I think that is such a terrible thing that's happened here, right? And everything that's not related to the issue pun brought up, which has nothing to do, and then we get into this whole horrible thing where we go into race and religion, right? So it's senang lah, because we can't see a person's face, some joker name, right? Yeah, so I think for me, seek first to understand before being understood is something that I entrenched as well. Yeah.
Being a good listener, right?
Yeah.
It's so difficult, yeah.
So Nurul, I'm gonna potong your line because you had so many of my turns just now. So I'm gonna be calculative about this time. So as a runner, Freda, I know you've run a marathon, which is amazing. And I've
never again.
That bad, huh? So I read that wherever you travel to, you run, and I used to do that. Then I stopped running for a while because I had plantar fasciitis and it just hurt too much. But I've started running again. I'm so excited to run. So where's the most unique and memorable place that you've run?
Okay. So because I have I am not good enough to qualify for London, New York, Boston. So I go to all the offbeat places, right? And so yeah, everywhere I go, I try to run. I went to Kazakhstan. I thought that was so amazing. The other amazing place, and this just came out on memory today, about 8 years ago, when I ran from Asia to Europe in Turkey, right? That was so amazing, right? Just to like say I've crossed continents, and then they give you a certificate, intercontinental runner. You ada ke? Bukit Metajam to Georgetown is not, it's not it. So that was really so in 2019 I went to Croatia, and there was this wine run, right? And so every stop they had wine. Of course, I couldn't lah, mabuk lah, but it was just a cute concept. So we ran in the vineyard, right, and the road and the vineyard, and it was just quirky and interesting. And it's largely because I can't qualify for the good ones.
But that is amazing though, and I do
Right.
hope to be able to travel again and
Right.
continue on and doing that.
Yeah.
So sorry, Nurul, back to you.
Okay, for the spirit of a Stay Kind episode, right? Because the title of Stay Kind, I just want to
Yeah.
ask you, for the past 2 years, we're living in a pandemic. What was the kindest thing that you have seen, or the kindest thing that you have experienced?
I think what has been really good, from what I've witnessed, right, is the kita jaga kita, right? I think you've seen the good in Malaysians that were always out there supporting each other, businesses, and then of course we also, we also try to support Malaysian businesses as much. So when I want to see the good in what's happened, I think this is where Malaysia is at its best, right? When we're helping each other, we're very more conscious about, this whole thing about wearing masks, right? I mean, America, oh, I want my freedom and that kind of thing, and all these rights. So we're very community conscious. I think we're always out helping each other, right? In that sense. So that to me has been the positive thing that has come out of this. We try to support where we can, right? When we have and others don't have. I know you guys will probably have done these things, but we don't talk about it, right? But where we can, we'll try to buy things locally from other people, right? I know that's what we're doing. So I think that has been the positive from this pandemic. Yeah.
Nice. Is there anything that has impacted you personally?
I think impacted me personally, not so much from the positive, but like what was so sad to hear was the white flag, right? The white flag, when when people actually are so desperate, right? And this is in the Klang Valley, right? When people are so desperate for this and they have to actually put out the white flag, it just saddens me lah, right? That this is happening in our doorstep lah. I think for me, if anything were to impact me, that will be the one that is quite sad. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Rahim or Azif?
Okay. Let me.
I'll let Ryan have a go.
Just now you mentioned about your slogan. I think for what next year, revolve.
Oh,
to evolve.
evolve. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'd like to hear that more.
Okay. Thanks for not putting me on the what lah. I have to force myself to tell you. So, one of the things that I practice is called the Wheel of Life, right? I'm sure you guys have heard of the Wheel of Life, and I think really when we look at the Wheel of Life, for those who don't know, quickly Google now. But it talks about our faith, our fitness, our friendship, our family. Just Google it. Now, I find that every year I set little goal. I make sure that each area has a goal. Some a bit more intense than the others. Like that one year, it was in my fitness goal to finish a marathon. That's why I say sekali aja dah, okay, done, right? But you and if your wheel, and you're happy, your wheel is round, that's when your wheel will turn properly. If your wheel is not round, you are so busy at work, you have no time for family, obviously the wheel cannot turn, right? And I find that that's important, that our wheel needs to revolve, but the wheel can get bigger and bigger and bigger in life, right? So maybe next year is a bigger focus on your career goal, and that's important. I'm sharing this also. I'll give you an example of how it connects back with the life's the stage. 10 years ago, when my son was, I'll give you an example. 10 years ago, oh, he'll be 19 on Monday. 10 years ago, when he was 9 years old, right? The priority was spending a lot of time with him, but and that was the bigger priority. But at the same time, I'm also aware that I need to build my career growth, and that sort of thing. But it wasn't a priority. And I'm glad I did, right? Because 10 years on, this is now a bigger priority as my son is about to go to college, right? So, so when you understand that that needs to change, otherwise you say, oh, empty nest syndrome. Well, I thought about it 10 years ago. I knew my son was going to be 19. I knew at 9 years old he wanted to be me. 19, mana dia? Dah keluar, right? So you know that is part of life, right? Don't be surprised. And what are you then doing in preparation and making sure that your wheel is round, right? So I got to start looking at where my career is going to be. What is my element of fun? For the last 2 years, I had to redefine fun, because fun for me is my travel, my running, my concerts, and I couldn't do that, right? So you got to think of how fun it's going to be, right? So I've got to start looking at that in preparation for 2022 lah.
Wow. Excellent. So we've come to the time in our show where we have this fun little game called This or That. And what it's designed to do, design, is to get people to know you a little bit better. So it's just two things, could be related, could not. You just choose which one is you. Easy one first, sunrise or sunset?
Sunsets.
Yay, beautiful. I mean, they're both beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hot coffee or iced coffee?
Hot coffee.
First thing in the morning, huh? Must
Mm-mm.
have that. So, are you patterned or plain?
Patterned.
Funky patterns, huh?
Yeah.
Art museum or tech museum?
Art museum.
Who's your favorite artist?
No favorite artist lah.
Gotta.
No favorite artist. No favorite artist.
No favorite artist. Funny one? Is this funny? Guacamole or salsa?
Guacamole, because got avocado.
Hitch ride.
None of the above. They're dangerous lah.
Scary, yes, sekarang.
Kan?
It is.
Yeah.
It's quite scary
Hello.
right now.
Uh,
Okay, so maybe one last one would be Highlands or the beach?
beach.
What's your favorite beach? This one may be interesting.
Ah,
What's the
I
favorite beach that you've been to? You've swam in?
no. Okay. Who favorite beach I've swam in? The sea I've swam in. No lah. I mean, ayo. Actually, off KK. I love the waters of KK,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I think we've got the best waters in KK. We've got the best sunsets in KK. I'm from Sarawak, so I'm not being, biased, but it really, I think that's one of the most beautiful places. And I haven't even been to the other parts of Sabah, but just KK alone, it's beautiful to arrive
No,
in,
it's gorgeous.
right? Right? Yeah.
It's amazing. It is gorgeous. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This or that with Freda Liu, and it's been an amazing. It's 50 minutes. Can you believe that? It's already 50 minutes in, and at this point in time, really would like to thank you for coming on board and maybe pick your brains a bit about what we've talked about and what has been really impactful for you, and key takeaways. Let's say that. What were your key takeaways from our short conversation tonight?
Very good idea. Okay, key takeaways are very clever, three of you. So everybody got something to ask and everything. So, I don't know. It's been fun. I mean, I think to me, it's like, don't think so much. I think we're all learning from each other. If I have to say, it's been really great. I think we need this kind of outlet, and it's important. I love the tag "Stay Kind." Let's remember to stay kind, because it's so easy, right? So easy to criticize and so easy to be cruel, right? And I think we need a little bit more kindness in the world. So I love love what you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Rahim, you have any closing comments? Am I sound
One
good again?
particular one that interests me. Actually, how do you see, because you are futurist, right? So how do you predict in terms of the future direction of broadcasting versus
Ah,
social media?
this. Hey, tak ada cukup masa lah. I tell you, this is so exciting.
That's a
Okay,
very interesting one.
okay. We might be here for another hour, guys. Uh, so the whole idea behind futurist is also, and the whole idea behind design thinking as well. So I'll try to incorporate it both. Uh, every organization is going to be a content creator and individual, right? Where is then the relevance of radio or broadcasting, right? So I'm just going to throw it out there, right? Um, so the other thing that I also learned in design thinking was what we call look out for the weak signals, right? You know, many years ago, for those who are old enough, there's a song called "Video Killed the Radio Star," right? And video is video. For those people who don't know, video, right? Of course, now video people are online video, right? Now, so that video didn't kill the radio star. Will this video that we see online kill the radio star? And I'm just being very, broad here. Um, Subscription is going to be the way forward for things, right? That's the way the future of business is. Like, where you are in your telco company, right? You want subscribers. That is a consistent business. So that's the way forward. If you look at broadcasting as a whole, you can look at it from an industry perspective, and then you can then apply to you individually. Now, has the consumer behavior changed in the last 2 years, right? Are people listening to radio? Like, Fatia was saying, she used to drive. Has she stopped driving? Now, is this going to be a permanent change? What does it mean for the radio industry, right? So I don't know, right? I don't know. So have you started listening to more podcasts, right? And podcasts from overseas, and then so you stop thinking what you're listing here is relevant. Okay, I'm just putting out there, right? So we do the analytics, the weak signals. The other thing is regulatory changes. Will there be regulatory changes that we have to be aware of? Technological changes, right? Now people are, apart from this, TikTok, what have you. So you look at all these things, right? Because the competition is not another radio station. Competition is whatever takes attention of someone else. Are people out there driving, or are they grabbing? And when you're grabbing, then you listen to whatever the Grab driver is listening to, right? So these are all the things that we have to look out for, and then think about how it applies to life, right? Like, for example, no, I'll give you a very good example. The people who invented digital film was Kodak, and they didn't pay attention to their own weak signal of the future of digital, and that killed them. So be aware of these weak signals who one day could be strong signals, right? So when you look at it from this different perspective, look at it industry wide, and then think, now, how do you think this will impact my career, right? So that's the future of what it is. So, but be on the lookout. We all have information. It's just that we have to sit and think a little bit about it, right? Very long answer, I told you.
I think it's sufficient. I think it's good enough to
Cool.
actually understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nurul Fatia.
Yeah, I'm just glad that I'm here tonight. Freda, thank you so much you've been so inspiring. I love it when you talk about mindset, and I really love it when you talk about impact. And I really love what you're doing. So I hope that you will continue doing what you're doing and bring a
Thank
lot
you.
of colors to the Malaysian business scene. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's it. Final
Wonderful.
words.
So, ladies and gentlemen, help me thank Freda Liu for being with us tonight. And, future of broadcasting, man, us small guys broadcasting to the world and, having our voice heard, competing with the big brands. Let's see how that goes. So thank you so much again, Freda. Let's work together again.
Yes.
Wonderful having you on the show. And thank you so much. Everybody, stay kind. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye. Night night.
Connect with everyone in the chat. Connect with all of us. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.